So you're looking for a really spicy, really easy to make salsa recipe. You come to the right place. Come on, let's go get in the kitchen and turn up the heat. And peppers, see the heat like hot pepper? I see that. Hi, I'm Doc, and welcome back to my kitchen. I know this is only the second time I've ever had this kind of video, in my kitchen, but I thought, given the time of year that it is, what a better time than now to make something fun that we can do fresh out of our garden. Not all these things are out of my garden, but that's okay. Since I posted the last video, which everybody loves so much, which is the fermented hot sauce video, I'll put a link up there. I got a lot of DMs asking me, hey, is there a quicker way to make something like this, but even make it hotter? And so, I've got a lot of peppers and some other things, and I thought, why not give it a try? All right, let's get our hands dirty. Actually, not dirty, we're cooking, we're gonna get our hands clean. All right, I'll be right back. So let's talk peppers. Let's talk hot peppers. This is a Chili de Arbol. These peppers are really hot. In fact, they're somewhere in the 30,000 to 45,000 Scoville range. They're a flavorful pepper. They're almost always used dry. And something I learned when experimenting with different salsas and different types of peppers is that some peppers, when they're fresh, even if they're fully ripe, have a bitterness to them. These tend to have a little bitterness to them. They don't lose a whole lot of heat. They do lose some heat when you dry them, but they're extremely, extremely hot. So when people ask me, what's the best approach when you're making a salsa? Well, for me, especially if you're going for heat, it's the presentation of heat. And those things become really important when you're picking your peppers. Again, like I said, these peppers are extremely hot, and we're gonna use a bunch of them, but it's about the other ingredients you have there too. For me, it's not just about hot. If a pepper's really, really hot, or the food's really, really hot, it has no flavor at all, why eat it? It just hurts. It needs to have flavor, it needs to have substance, it needs to be a presentation, almost like you're presenting a full meal to somebody. Now this is a quick recipe, there's not a whole lot to it. Our main ingredients are the Chili de Arbols, we've got the jalapeno pepper, we'll get to that later. This is about 2,500 to 8,000 Scoville. I think a habanero is around the 100,000 mark. These can get up to 65,000. So this is gonna be a very hot sauce. It will mild a bit by the way we're gonna make it, and there's ways to adjust the heat, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And there's a reason for this, we'll talk about that at the end. So we're also gonna need about half a large onion, or in this case, most of a medium onion. We'll need, say, 15 to 18 cloves of garlic, medium size, these aren't real big. The juice of 1 lime, about 1 ounce, and some really big tomatoes. These are, it's about 1.5 pounds of tomatoes. And then we're also gonna need some cilantro, which I don't have here. There's a few other ingredients we'll need, like we'll need salt, we'll need some vinegar, and those sort of things. But I don't wanna beat around the bush. I'll have all the ingredients listed for you in the amounts I'm using here in the description below. It's a very, very well balanced salsa, and I think you're gonna like it. But you can adjust things as you like. Like I said, the star of this show is the Chili Arbol. I grew these in my garden, and I had so many of them. This is off one plant, and I've actually used a bunch of them already. And I went ahead and picked them all, and I dried them. But this is about half a cup. These are kind of small. And it's probably 18 to 20 grams. It's the easiest way I can tell you to do it. These are about the size of my pinky, so maybe 2 inches, 2.5 inches long. I don't know, what's that, 1. You can get these in the store if you don't grow them yourself, or you can substitute another pepper. If you're trying to make hot salsa though, you need a hot pepper. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to get our tomatoes ready to go. In the meantime, I'm gonna show you what we're cooking in. This is about a 12-inch cast iron skillet. Now, it looks like it's really oily. It's not. It's just I've already started heating it up. We want to heat this up to about medium-high heat. This is going to be a roasted salsa recipe. So what I want to do is I want to roast these. I just want to get a little char and color on as much of the vegetables as I can. Everything except the arbols. I'll tell you why in a minute on that. But what we want to do is we want to cut these things up, and we want to get them in manageable chunks, and we want to get them into the pan first because they do take a while to char, and I'll show you what we do there. So let's just do this. All we're gonna do is quarter it. Okay, next we're gonna talk about garlic. We need like 15 to 18 garlic cloves. Now listen, we're going to actually char and roast this garlic as well. it's going to make it more mild. So if you're not a huge fan of garlic, that's fine. It's up to you. But I suggest it. Remember, we're trying to balance flavors here, okay? The tomato is going to take and cut out some of the heat, and we need some other ways to balance out the flavors, give us something flavorful to taste. So we need to do something with this garlic. Ugh. That's how you do garlic. I like to crush the garlic to remove the papers. Some people, you can even leave the papers on these. It'll kind of thicken up your hot sauce from what I understand. So anyway, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the little nubs off and I'm gonna smash these guys. We'll do that real quick. Peel these papers off. Like that. Nice and easy when you crush them, and oh, it releases that great smell of garlic. So let me get these done real quick. Okay, there we go. The garlic's done. Like I always say, if your hands aren't sticky, you hadn't used enough garlic. Let me clean this mess up. Now moving on to the next ingredient, we've got an onion. Now this thing we want to do, we just basically want to cut the ends off. I'm going to quarter it, and I'm going to use, in this case, 3/4 of it. Right now, the pan is looking pretty good. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let's put some tomatoes on it, shall we? Get a little sizzle. Okay, that's up again to about medium-high heat. We're gonna let that go for a minute. We're also gonna get our jalapeno in there. Stem on, no reason to do anything else with it. We're just gonna throw it in. Okay, so we got this again on about medium-high heat. It's not really high up in my oven, this electric oven. It's up to about 6.5 or so. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna start turning. You see that? That's what we want to start to see. We're gonna start turning this stuff. We wanna just keep it turning. There's no real oil in this pan. There, that's looking good. Look at that. Yeah, that's looking good. So we wanna let that char build up. It's gonna take a little bit. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in the onion, and we're gonna add in the garlic also to get that stuff going. We're adding a lot of cold stuff here, and we're gonna go ahead and throw the garlic in too. Oh, I forgot. I probably should have mentioned this before. Make sure you have a lid you could put on this, because once we get everything together, we're gonna do what's called sweat the rest of the vegetables. So we start to pull some of the juices out, start to caramelize some of those sugars. It's gonna really make the taste improve. So while this is going, I want to talk a little bit about my pepper choices here. Now we talked about building a pepper, building a salsa, building a hot sauce so that the flavors work the way you want them to. I want this to have a good flavor. Like I said, thing that doesn't have flavor, just heat, is really no good to me. What's the point? I enjoy the taste of food. I also like heat. So we have to kind of plan that out. Now we talked about the Scoville scale of peppers. Jalapeno again is like 2,500 to 8,000. Mine tend to be, obviously it's different from pepper to pepper, but mine tend to be somewhere in the 6,000 range, 5,000 if I had to guess. The Chili Arbols tend to be a little warmer. They're in the 55 to 60,000 range out of that scale. Remember I told you like 30 to 65. But it's a different kind of heat. And this is what I was going to talk about, why I have a single jalapeno in here. We've already got enough heat, right? What difference does it make? The difference that it makes is this. Not all heat is created equal. Some heat is an overall kind of heat. Some heat's deep in the back of the throat, some's back of the tongue. Some of it gets your gums, some of it gets the tip of your tongue. Again, these Chili Arbols are hot. So I don't want to just hit the person eating this with really high heat. I want to build to it. That is what this little guy is for. Jalapenos tend to hit on the front of the tongue. Really, really right off the bat. These don't hit hard at first. They just quickly hit the back of your mouth. So what happens is a jalapeno is hot on the tip of your tongue and it starts to move into the middle of your tongue. Right about the time these guys start to kick in and start to heat up the middle back of your tongue. And that will build that heat through. These will keep building, so you'll have kind of lasting heat as it starts to wear. But in between those heats, as it comes from your tongue to the back, the front of your tongue to the back of your tongue, you'll taste all the other things in there: the garlic, the lime juice, the cilantro, the onion. The onion not so much actually, but you'll taste it a little bit. It'll give it flavor. So we're just going to keep turning these. Now you can see the tomatoes are starting to get soft. The skin's starting to move. We're starting to get some color on everything. This is what we're looking for. This is what's going to give us that roasted flavor in there. And it's really, you don't have to do this. You could simply just, you could boil all this stuff if you wanted to, and then throw it in the blender and mix it up. But this is the way I do it because it had so much flavor. It's really good, and I think it's worth doing. Okay, so it's been a little bit longer now. Everything's starting to char up nice. I'm liking the way it's smelling. The garlic's really softened up. The tomatoes are looking really good. Now, what we want to do is we want to sweat these. But before we do, we're going to add our Chili de Arbol, okay? Now, this is how we're going to do this. First of all, we're going to need some oil. Now, I recommend a neutral oil. Avocado oil is great because it doesn't have much flavor to it. It's got a really high smoke point, and it just doesn't affect the taste. I mean, this stuff is really good. This brand is really good, too. And it's really cheap, too. So, I'm going to add a little bit in here. And I'm going to take my chiles. I'm going to throw them in. Seeds and all, folks. Seeds and all. It's supposed to be hot, right? And I'm going to just saute these for just a few minutes. I do not want to char these peppers, okay? I'm going to start getting all the stuff off the bottom, get the oil coated, and I just want to do this for a couple of minutes until the chilies get a little bit soft, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. Okay? We're going to add a little bit more oil, not much. I just don't want anything burning to the bottom. And now, remember the lid? We're going to put it on there. Now, we want to let this sweat about 5 minutes. What it's going to do is all those juices and stuff that are in those tomatoes, we want that to come out. We want those juices to come out, start to caramelize the sugars, mix with the flavors of everything else in here. And then after this, it's smooth sailing, guys. It's downhill from there. Let's just wait a few more minutes. Oh, and if you need to, so nothing burns, come on in here and stir it around every now and again. Oh, it's looking good. It's looking so good. All right. So I just watched it. It's been a little bit more than 5 minutes. Yeah, 6 minutes. And all I did was I turned the heat up and down as I needed to. Look at this, though. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? All right. I turned the heat up and down. I didn't want anything to burn. And we wanted to make sure that everything got all the juices and the flavors caramelized. Now, there is one thing I'm going to do before I get started. First, I'm going to take these tomatoes. I'm going to put them into our blender. You can use a food processor if you want it really smooth. You can do this by hand if you want to just mash it all up with like a potato masher or something. But look at the color. Color's so good. Okay, I'm making a huge mess. Now, the one thing I do want to do is I don't want this stem off the jalapeno. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it, oops, I dropped it right into my hand. I'm just going to cut the end off. Okay, and that's trash. Put our number one early spicy boy in there. Now, whew, it's going to be good. I can smell it. So this is what we want to do now. I'll see if I can do this so you can see it, but I'm going to take this and pour it all into here. Okay, we're going to put our lid on. We're just going to give it a little bitty tippy tap. We don't need this to be really, really, really smooth right now. We just want to get it just a little bit, just to get kind of things moved down. You see that? It's already looking beautiful. A little bit more of the avocado oil. I don't need much. This is just going to help give it a little bit more of a creamy, thicker kind of feel to it. And the next thing I'm going to do is this lime. Now, it's always good to take and roll your citrus before you squeeze it, because it'll make it nice and soft. And when you do, all these juices will come out. Now, again, all these measurements aren't exact, but I'm going to put down pretty close to what's in here in the recipe. It's what I try to go for in the description below. This is going to be about 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice. Okay, I threw both. I gotta pick those up. Okay. The next liquid we're gonna add, this is white vinegar. Now this is about 2 tablespoons in this jar. I don't need that much. I'm gonna put about 1 tablespoon in it. Here's the thing. If you don't want to put this in there, it gives a little bite. Okay, first of all, it gives a little richness to it when you when it hits the tongue. It helps to move the oils around a little bit, which is good. But also by adding the citrus, you get that limey taste. You get that citrusy taste along with the vinegar bite. Both of those things and the salt that we're going to add to this in just a second will help preserve it a little bit longer. If you want to can something like this, if you're using this to preserve your food, you know, stuff from your garden, what I would recommend is you could put everything I'm putting into it, including the salt, up to this point. I'm going to put the salt in a minute. And then not the fresh cilantro. The reason is, I think that if you want the flavor of fresh cilantro in your recipes, you need to do it fresh. So if you're gonna can it, you know, store it up for later, you can put everything in here, but this last little bit, the fresh cilantro, you'll see in a minute. All right, it's time to blend. Okay. We're just gonna check the consistency because we want it very close. Oh, yes, 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 it's looking very good. Do you see that? We're gonna add the salt in and give it a quick mix. This is about 2 teaspoons. Now, I don't know, does it have a measurement on the side? Where are we at here? Let me see. Looks like it's about 20 ounces. And this is about 2 teaspoons. We're gonna go 1.5 teaspoons for right now because we're gonna taste it and then see if it needs more. Quick little tap. That's a good mix. Now we're putting in the last ingredient. And again, if you want to can and preserve this for later, I don't suggest putting this in. You can, it just won't have that same fresh taste. This is about 12 to 16 sprigs of cilantro. It's fresh. Again, if you want to can this, water bath can it, you can do that. I wouldn't put this in, but that's just me. You do it how you like. All right, this is what we have. Oh. I'm telling you, if you like spicy and you like salsa, this is it. I'm gonna try this first and I'll adjust it for salt. I really probably should have already done that. Let me try it here first. Let me taste it straight out of here. Okay. Flavor's good. Oh, there comes the heat. Woo. Talk more in a second. Okay. That's really good. I don't think it needs more salt. Not in this case. Maybe a tiny bit more. But right when you put it in your mouth, you taste the roasted vegetables. You taste that tomato, that charred tomatoey flavor. There's really no hint of onion in there. It just adds kind of an underlying robustness to the flavor. Then the citrus hits you, and that roasted garlic at the same time. Such a good combo. Really, really not much else at that point because the heat starts on the front of the tongue. You feel it, and it rolls right back across your tongue, right in the back of our throat, just like we wanted it to do. So you go, oh, wow, this is hot. And you go, oh, this is hot. And then it builds like that Arbol does. It builds right there in the back of your mouth big time. And then the heat slowly starts to fade away, which is good. And then you start to taste a little bit more of those, like the cilantro. You taste that on the back end. Now, a lot of people aren't a fan of cilantro. A lot of people aren't a fan of onion. You don't have to put either one of those in here. I do suggest the onions that you don't taste them at all. It kind of adds the caramelization, thickens up the sauce a little bit. This is really hot when it's hot. Like, it's spicy when it's heat hot. Anyway, once you put this in the refrigerator, cool it off for a while, the flavors really mellow out. Right now it hits really hard and really quick. Once you put it in the fridge, it's gonna calm it just a little bit and you'll really feel it roll across your tongue. So if you have somebody in your house that really likes spicy hot salsa, give it to them hot. If you have somebody that likes things spicy, but they don't really want that shock factor, give it to them cold. It's still hot. I'm not playing around. It is warm. And you can adjust this recipe up and down. Obviously, the more chili arbols you use, the more spicy it's going to be. You can use less tomato in particular, and that will bring the spice level up. Or you could use more tomato and bring the spice level down. Really make it what it is on your own. Just remember, taste it before you add all the salt. I recommend up to 2 teaspoons for about this much, but that's up to you. All right, guys. That's it. I really hope you like this video. I know a lot of people have been asking me for a really nice hot salsa or hot sauce recipe. This one's really good. You can make it pretty quick. And everybody that's showing all the love on all the other videos, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially the comments. Let me know if there's another kind of salsa or hot sauce you want to see me make. Let me know. I'll certainly do it. So guys, if you know somebody that likes hot sauce, salsas, Mexican food, just spicy foods in general, or likes to cook, share the video with them. Let them know we're here. And hey, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. We want to make sure that we see you every time in all these videos. We've got a lot more stuff planned. But guys, I want to leave you like I always leave you. There's really only 4 things in life you need to have a happy and well-balanced life. Number 1, you have to have something to believe in. Number 2, you need to have somebody to love. Number 3, you need to have something to do. And number 4, you need to have something to look forward to. Guys, I look forward to making videos and hanging out with you guys in the comment section. I look forward to working in my garden, cooking in my kitchen. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're here, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. All right, Doc out. In the pepper bush. Yeah, see? Peppers. Wait a minute, I can do it different.